Hey, everybody, this is Bob Cargill from Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. It is Friday, March 5, 2021. I hope you are all safe, sound, happy, healthy. Hey, I can't believe it. We are almost 1 year into the pandemic, 1 year or so into the pandemic. It's unbelievable. It's been a unprecedented year, as they say, a very sad year. And I grieve for all of those who have lost their lives due to COVID-19, and my condolences to all of those who have lost loved ones and who have gone through such a difficult time. My thoughts go out to anybody who's been touched by COVID-19. And, we've all been touched, whether we've had it or know someone who's had it in one way or another. It's been a very traumatic year, and emotionally, it's taken such a toll. But my guest, who you're going to hear from in just a minute, we were talking, Helen and I, before I pressed play, record, and we were saying, it has brought us together in such a unique way, too. That's the silver lining, if there is one, of this pandemic. I think we have all realized we're all in this together, and we appreciate, I think, our friends and our family and even complete strangers much, much more. Hey, I didn't mean to get so deep. I didn't know I'd go in that direction, but that's what the pandemic has done to all of us. We're reflecting more than ever. This is episode 122. This is Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. As I look outside, it's a bright, sunshiny day, if you will. Helen and I also were talking about what I like to do, and that is running, my exercise. And after this recording, I'm going out there and getting in a few miles. But before that, we have a great conversation, I know, ahead of us, and that is with Helen Pinchanski. Helen is a strategy consultant, a purpose marketing strategist, and a digital customer experience advisor, and an all-around ridiculously awesome person. I know Helen from AMA Boston, that's the American Marketing Association Boston chapter. You are going to love this conversation between Helen and I. I am sure of that, and that's all due to Helen being, again, such a great person and such an extraordinary professional. Hey, Helen, thanks for being here today. Tell everybody an open-ended question. The floor is yours. Tell everybody about your background and what brings you to this point in your professional life.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bob. First, thank you for allowing me to be here and be a guest to your wonderful, amazing podcast. You are an amazing marketer, amazing friend, and I'm honored to be here. So thank you for the opportunity to reach to your audience and being able to share with them. So to tell you a little bit, everyone, about myself, I have over 20 years of experience in marketing. I've been always focusing on working as a consultant, which it has been an amazing experience because you get to basically come in and help organizations reach to their customers in a better way. So in terms of my initial background was internally in all the process improvements for organizations. And over time, I transferred that knowledge into how to reach better to a customer experience as the digital transformation, came upon us with the internet and the social media. And over that period of time, I was absolutely, embracing the change, because that was what my career has always been about, is how to help organizations embrace change, move forward, think what's coming up so you can reach to those customers. So my background basically, has a whole wide variety of understanding the internal processes of how to, adapt technology towards how to reach to your customers' experience through inbound marketing. And lately, I've also had the pleasure, I guess, of working with a lot of companies and helping them incorporate the outbound aspect of marketing as well. And this is something that I love, Bob, because we have seen that in the past, we had marketing and sales, kind of each one had their own roles. And over time, they are working together and together. There's that collaboration to reach out to the customer. So that just tells you a little bit of what I've been doing in terms of my professional background.
Thanks, Helen. And I think I made clear at the beginning that you and I know each other from AMA Boston. We met, I think, around 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. It seems like a lot longer than that. We met at a marketing mingle, a networking event in person. Can you believe it? There were a lot of people. We were in uh, packed in like sardines, I think, at the Back Bay Social Club in Boston for a networking event. And I can't wait to get back to those times again. Um, what have you seen during the pandemic? Well, you know what? I'm going to cut myself off and ask a question I should have asked you right at the very beginning. Here I am talking about the pandemic before I asked you to introduce yourself. Let me ask you, how are you doing? How are you doing personally and professionally as a result of the pandemic?
Sure. Thank you, Bob. I guess we talked so much, before
Hmm.
about
Yeah,
the.
yeah.
We're always,
But for the record, I want to hear how you're doing,
yeah,
and I want our listeners and viewers to hear how you're doing.
sure. Well, like you said, we're all doing okay. And I think the reason for that, personally and professionally, is because people are now helping each other. They are
Yeah.
reaching out to each other. We are all, working more towards a community um, environment, rather than individually. We are all outreaching to see how other people are doing. And I think that feeling has really have allowed us to be in a positive way doing much better in terms of personally and professionally. Yeah, and I wanted to share, because you said how you love running. The pandemic actually has brought personally an opportunity to get outside of the norm, where we were just commuting to work, or you know working during the day, and really maybe forgetting a little bit about that inner connection with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been trying to implement in my life, as we're all working from home and zooming the whole day, trying to do some type of meditation, yoga, things that I have never done before. So I'm really, really excited about how I've been balancing my life personally with this pandemic. So that has been one of the positive impacts. And professionally, obviously, I think actually it has been wonderful. Why? Because there has been so much change. And that is my background, how to help organizations embrace the change, even if it's a crisis that unfortunately with this pandemic,
Mm.
we've had to really, um, suffer as well. So I think
Mm.
being able to be a marketer and helping companies saying, how can I do better? How can I survive during this pandemic? And there are many ways to survive, in which the first one that we'll talk through our podcast is going to be how you reach to your customer in a very authentic way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you, Helen. And I guess, as I said it in my intro, and not to think of business at all during these times, but life does go on, and a lot of us, if not most, if not all of us, have had to balance our grieving, our stress, our emotions with, hey, paying the bills, working, and it's been such a struggle. I know for everybody, and I know for me, and I teach in Boston this spring. Feel very, very fortunate at Suffolk University, and I get to go into campus, and we're teaching high flex, and it means there's some students in the classroom, some on Zoom, and I can't tell you how good it feels to see some students in person, to see some colleagues in person, keeping a social distance, wearing our masks at all times. I know with AMA Boston, we've done a phenomenal job, I think, with staying in touch via Zoom. But yeah, we all have had to, push through and rise above, at the same time, taking care of ourselves and our loved ones. And we've seen in this country over 500,000 people die, and that's shocking and sad. And I don't think it will hit all of us. We won't realize it fully until we can look back. And and breathe a little bit, a sigh of relief, but then we can maybe grieve fully for what toll has taken on this country. Again, not to get too deep into that, but I need to appropriately comment on the personal toll pandemic's taken on all of us. Let's delve into it. You mentioned, how has marketing changed during the pandemic? I've seen changes. I think they're positive changes. I know that's what you're gonna talk about. So let's start talking about it. What changes have you seen that have been good ones or not during the last year in marketing?
Obviously, yes. Thank you, Bob. Absolutely. I mean, in marketing, I think it's, obviously all the functions that we have, if we think of finance and accounting, everything, has been affected by the pandemic. But marketing, I think, has been one of the most affected ones, because that's where you are reaching out to your customer, and everybody was hurting. And how, from, the side of the business and the side of the customer, how the changes have come across, that you actually can help. It has to be a parallel way of, now reaching to your customer. One, with authenticity and personalization. I think that has been the number one change, where big organizations are saying, well, it seems like now we need to reach out to our customers in a more personal way. We can't continue just with our typical, marketing tactics. Now, there has been some transferring of what a medium size or a small size business have used in the past to reach out to their customers. We are seeing today bigger organizations trying to really change that, building more trust with the consumer, reaching out in a way of helping. And personally, I have to share this, because I've had some brands, and that I personally deal with. I've been reached out by them and say, how can we help you? We are here to help you. We are here because we understand we are in a global crisis. In this is a pandemic, and I think that it's where I've seen the biggest change in terms of what the pandemic has brought, is the human side to the organization. And the consumer, I think, is appreciating that change. It's saying, and that's where a brand or a company can take advantage and leverage the situation and say, this can make a big difference. This is where you are going to continue with that brand in terms of marketing. If they reach out to you, if they were present in this difficult time, and they adapted their business practices so you can be okay, and they know that as soon as things will be, stable, and I'm really praying that very soon that will be happening, those are the ones that consumers are going to really stick to it and praise. Yes.
No, I was just going to put a punctuation mark. I wasn't raising my hand to ask a question, but I was going to put a punctuation mark on the point you were making, that yes, absolutely, customers, consumers, people are going to remember those brands and businesses, corporations, organizations who were there for them during these difficult times, not necessarily trying to sell them something, but being supportive, empathetic, sympathetic, compassionate, listening to them. That's the change that I've seen. Sounds like you're seeing it as well. It may have taken some brands longer than others, and some brands still may have not gotten it, if you will. But that is, from a business standpoint, the silver lining, that I think marketing, advertising, sales, business in general has finally woken up and said, hey, we need to show the human side of our brand. We need to listen to our customers. We need to not always be selling them things, but maybe educating, maybe informing, maybe helping, maybe listening, maybe being even, fellow human beings alongside them, so that, when it comes time for people to buy something, they'll think of those brands and businesses that were their friends and supporters and That's, I think, a big change we've probably all witnessed to some degree, those of us who are looking at marketing closely.
Absolutely, Bob. I think, you look at the buying life cycle, right, of a consumer. The first thing, always was the typical, it started where you're looking online and trying to see and search about brands. I think the change that we've seen with this pandemic is that now we are combining both of them. You're going to search online, but you're going to also see which brands stood out there during a difficult time, during a crisis, how
Mm-hmm.
they acted. So this was an opportunity, like you're saying, many companies stood to it, and the ones that didn't, they have an opportunity through marketing, right, to reach out to these consumers again and make sure they connect, so they will be prioritized when the consumer is looking for that decision, the buying decision with a brand. So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, that's where I feel the biggest change is. A lot of another change that I wanted to share with you that I see
Please.
with in terms of reaching out, as we are meeting today in this virtual world, right? I think the companies are also realizing that there's a really great usage of technology, and what advances in technology can now take place where you can virtually reach out to your consumers as well. So you can offer and expand your offerings in terms of product expansions. If people will not be feeling comfortable, anymore, let's say going to get the product personally, you can do other ways to reach out. So you're expanding, it's an expansion of your sales in terms of how do you reach out to your customers now. If you're going to drive to my store and I'm going to bring the product to your car, for example,
Mm-hmm.
something that it didn't happen before, but now we were pushed, somehow to do it. And then they're realizing this is a great change, that it can stay. It doesn't need to go away. So I think we're going to see a lot of the changes that we're seeing. A lot of them actually have been, bringing really positive results, and they should be actually staying and expanding.
Yes. More the personal touch. And again, ironically, it took a pandemic for people or businesses in this case to realize that personal touch, a smile, customer service that goes a little bit above and beyond makes such a big difference. As you were talking, I thought of just a few days ago where my mother turned 90, and we had a birthday party for her from a social distance, wearing masks, in her garage, both garage doors open, plenty of ventilation. And there was only a few of us there, my kids and my wife and one of my son's girlfriend. But we did it by Zoom with the rest of our family.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was awesome. But the point I want to make about marketing, I'm almost forgetting because I'm getting so carried away in the emotion and the personal part of the story. We got our meal or my mother's meal, should I say, because she got treated extra special, from 99 restaurant in Hudson. And when you said something about customer service and them, I think you said something about did you say bringing food out to the car? Or
Yes,
if you didn't, it made me think about it. Because we ordered by phone. We probably could have just ordered online even. And someone very kindly came right out to our car with a smile, put it in our car. We had already paid online. That was a really nice touch. I don't know if they were doing that. Maybe 99 restaurants were, but I would think every restaurant could do that. And I know a lot of stores are doing that now as well.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to follow through, that there were a few of them doing it, but it wasn't a practice that everyone was doing, and they were missing on an opportunity, right? That we're seeing that they got pushed to do it, and they're seeing the results of it, which is unbelievable. So now a lot more are doing it, not just in the food services or in a restaurant, but in the stores. Like you said,
yes.
Now you can go and get exercise equipment or, clothing or anything. They'll be coming and bringing it to you.
We were at, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bob. Yeah.
No, you had a point.
Yeah, no, so exactly that I was sharing with you, how um, there was a little bit of it being implemented before, and now it's just growing. And I think there's so much more room as well to continue with that type of growth, right?
Yes.
Especially like I wanted to really reconnect with these virtual opportunities of being connected with, with the consumer, and one of the areas that it really I've always kind of wanted this to happen. It's in the healthcare industry, for example. I absolutely love the opportunity that they're having to have appointments in a virtual way. Again,
Yes.
we are
Telehealth.
yes, and it was there before, maybe in a very limited portion. Now we're seeing that it's being accepted, that it's being rolled out by much more
Mm-hmm.
percentage in the industry.
No, I can tell we could, this one topic right here, we could talk,
Just saying
because
that.
I'm writing down ideas and we're both like chomping at the bit to talk, and I'm interrupting you. I apologize for that, Helen. I have so many things I want to share, but this is, you are the guest, as you can see on the sign behind me. Maybe my show, but you're the guest. I want you to make sure you get all your points across. Don't let me interrupt you. Um, a couple things. You mentioned telehealth. I've had several appointments in the last year by phone or Zoom, whatever, however they do it. There's a certain app my healthcare provider uses, and I love it. Actually, I don't have to drive in. I don't have to wait in the office for 20 minutes. For the 3-4 minute appointment. I find it extremely convenient. I get from them what I need. Sure, there will be things such as tests and other types of appointments, that are needed in person. But I love the telehealth thing, and that is absolutely becoming more of a big thing. Let's, I hate to, but let's give credit to the pandemic. Again, I wish it was under different circumstances, but the pandemic has brought certain things to the surface that we should have learned a long time ago, but at least we're learning it now. I also wanted to mention a funny story, I think. My wife and I were at Whole Foods the other day, and I hardly ever go to the grocery store. I love shopping. I love going to the grocery store, but I don't do it that often anymore. She does all of it. And we're at Whole Foods, and I saw this whole section of bags of groceries, and I saw someone who obviously worked at the store going around the store with the carriage. And I said, I think he's shopping for other people, like rounding up groceries. And she said, yeah, because she's seen it a million times at the grocery store. So that's a thing. And that's what you were just saying. I don't know if that was big before the pandemic, but that sure as heck is probably going to be a big thing going forward, where you just call up, they do it all for you, and either you pick it up or they deliver.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm doing it like you're saying, and before, right? So, and now that I'm used to it, Bob, I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to go back. Probably,
Yeah.
maybe a percentage I'll go back, but now it's a new way of life. Really embracing that I can just put my order online, and like you said, there were in everything that we're touching base in all of these it was already been the beginning of some organizations taking advantage of it, and they were doing it, but not to the extent that they're doing it today. Meaning today is being embraced, they're putting the technology in place to do it very highly efficient, and it's just growing. And people like myself that maybe were hesitant to try it,
Yeah.
pushing to do it. And once you do it, and it's being offered in a really great way with great marketing models, or they have their coupons as well, because a lot of people were like, I like to go to the store, and and again, we're thinking marketing, thinking advertising, promotions, those things you needed to go physically to the store to get
Mm-hmm.
discounts. And now you can also do it online virtually. So that has been like an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, there's so many examples. Again, while you're talking, I'm thinking of my teaching at Suffolk University, the high flex model. I didn't even know the word high flex until like 6 months ago. And they asked me to teach 3 sections of students this spring: marketing, of course, high flex, and it stands for hybrid flexible. The students have the option of being there in person, only a certain number of students. There's a cap. I'm not sure the exact number in terms of the most students who can be in the classroom at any one time, but they can choose to be there or not, meaning in person or Zoom, and they can decide class by class. And it sounds confusing and complex, but the fact is I find it fascinating, and I enjoy the challenge and the opportunity to take advantage of technology. I get to be on campus, they get to be on campus if they want, and think of higher ed, what they're learning about how they can deliver the educational product to their students. So that could be changes that are going to stick for forever. And we could probably go industry by industry. You know, I just saw, I think, was it the city of Boston? Half of its employees, I think I saw this,
I
are
read
going to
it.
be able to work
Well,
from home after the
yes.
pandemic. Hey, when I've been commuting into Boston to teach at Suffolk, there hasn't been much traffic. So if people are working from home and that's a permanent change, that's a good change.
That is an unbelievable change in terms of, sustainability, and really allowing the mobility of, taking away all of that traffic that, people had to endure for hours, just
Mm,
be, somewhere, where now if you can take away that aspect and have uh, partially remote, working from home or remotely from other places, and not everybody's going to have to go and drive. That's a huge impact that we're talking about. Also, I guess, solving other issues, infrastructure issues that we were having as well.
yeah, and again, it's unfortunate, sad that these changes come about as a result of pandemic. Probably things we should have been able to foresee otherwise, but sometimes change comes in strange ways. And in this case, very sad triggers, but positive change as a result in some ways. We could talk about the pandemic for the rest of the show, but I wanted to cover a few other things, and that is marketing, period, marketing in general, pandemic or no pandemic. What do you, so there are many things, I've been in marketing, forever, and I've seen all kinds of changes, and we're talking about some good changes, but and I'll just break the ice, if you will. I love the variety of marketing, the creativity, the connection to people, and getting to know so many different types of people, our audiences when we're representing brands. Maybe that's not a real specific answer, but it's an example of what could be an answer to this question. What do you like most about marketing in general and least? And I'm just curious.
Yes, of course. The first thing I have to really start this answer, Bob, is by sharing that I believe that marketing, like they say, is everything. Why I believe marketing is everything? Because that's where you are really listening to the consumer and creating, and meeting that desire and the need for the consumer, right? So that's where everything starts. So what I love about marketing is that I'm in contact and I want to listen to the consumer. What do they want? What are their needs? What are their desires? How can I create a need if they don't have one? It's the whole aspect of the relationship with the consumer. And another aspect that I have to add to, my passion for marketing is that it's a really big umbrella, meaning it is not just about reaching out to the customer in a direct way. It involves the creation of this content, for example, that you have to create as a marketer, right? You have to think of writing, delivering a message to the consumer through writing and through video, through music, whatever,
Yeah.
different aspects. You have to have a website. You have to be, like you're saying, you have to blend the creativity to really create an image that you really reach out to the consumer that way through the visual aspect. But then, lately, obviously, with all this technology, we also have the other aspect, which is the analytics and understanding
Mm,
what, in marketing, what are their trends, their likes, their desires, and that all like a whole umbrella of marketing, which I love, the collaboration, all of these pieces together, to make it happen, right? To deliver a product to a consumer. The least aspect that I, feel that I don't like about marketing, but it's just that it's hard. Not that I don't like it, is that you can reach out to so many different audiences in marketing, and you have to be very creative in creating the right approach, the right strategy, the right content for those different customers. Because yes, a product might serve different needs for different customers. So you have to be out there reaching out to them in a personal way, but in a different way. So you have to really understand all the pieces that go with marketing.
Yeah, I'll comment on the latter. Not even a question. Marketing is challenging and difficult, and I think I'm have finished the first draft of my book, 20 Jobs, 20 Lessons.
Can't wait.
And what's that?
I can't wait.
Yeah, no, and it's coming. I have taken a big step in the last few weeks. I have hired an editor, so we're getting it professionally edited, and the only remaining step will be getting it published. So it's coming. 70,000 words or so I put together, which is a pretty big book, 200 pages or so. But anyways, lessons. I was going to joke that 20 lessons. I could probably say 2,000 lessons, meaning, and a lot of them learned the hard way. This is a tough business, and like you said, because it comprises so many moving parts, and with technology, entering our industry 20 years ago, let's say the internet and social media, yeah, there's an upside. We improved marketing, but the downside is change and learning and complexity. So it is not an easy business, but that's probably why I like it the most, because there's never a dull moment, and it also comprises pretty much everything a business. It's involved. It's incorporated into pretty much everything a business does. So even somebody who's not in marketing, if you work wherever you work, you are a reflection of the business. And so I mentioned, the restaurant, and the individual came and delivered the food to our car. She's in marketing because she's representing that company. So I find it fascinating, and there's so many opportunities. I tell my students, even if you don't go into marketing, I hope you do after taking my course, but you're going to be able to use this probably pretty much wherever you work. It's a fascinating industry.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk about user-generated branding, employee-generated branding,
Yeah.
that is where branding is moving, right? When we're talking about marketing, there's so much passion about, when I say that, Bob, the best part that I like is the consumer, that relationship with the consumer. In today's environment, it's really a back and forth communication with the consumer, because they are the voice of your brand as well, right? So, you get in touch with them, and they get in touch with you, and you want to collaborate together. You want to listen to what is their, that they like about the product, what they don't like about the product, that you're listening back and forth, to them. And then you can utilize that for, your, what they call the user generated branding, right? It's your users out there sharing about your brand. And like you're sharing about the employee generated branding is as well. You're working for a company, you're loving the product, and you're standing right there with that product and promoting it the way that this person did for you, to bring you the food and be excited about it and be part of the brand as well.
Exceptional points you're making, Helen. User generated content, the people on the receiving end of your messages, it's what they say about you that actually that actually ends up being your brand. Meaning you could say you serve the best food, or you have the best restaurant or hotel, or what have you, but it's what your customers say you are. And today that is more true than ever, thanks to social media, and because social media has leveled the playing field. It's given consumers a voice. So it's not top down, one way communications like it was, pre-internet. The consumer in many cases is in control. So brand beware. They used to say buyer beware, I think, but brand and business beware, because those consumers will call you out on social media, and that's their right to do so, if they don't like your products or services.
Absolutely. It's from this transactional, way of dealing now, it is really, connected, where they are the ones that are part of that voice, part of your messaging, part of your branding. And now with the pandemic, we have an opportunity. We have this opportunity to connect with them, and they can be the voice of our brand as well. So that leads into, again, this passion about marketing in the consumer, right? How you are connected with the consumer, how you listen to them, how you involve them. And I think that's where we are seeing the biggest change today, and that brands can really leverage it.
Hey, Helen, I mentioned social media, and endorphins kicked in for me, because social media, is a positive trigger, like my running is for me. Social media is what I do, live, breathe, and do for clients. And I can't do an episode of my podcast without talking about social media, I have to admit. It's like an addiction for me. I want to ask you if you're addicted to social media or not, like I am. Do you use it yourself? Do you use it for your clients? And how so? I imagine you use it at least a little. But please share about your usage of social media.
Absolutely, Bob. And when you mentioned the word social media, um, the first, person that comes to mind is you. You are an amazing influencer in my career, unbelievable the way you reach out through social media. As a leader, you have taught so much. I have learned a lot from you, and it has been just unbelievable that thanks to social media, you have been able to deliver that message that a lot of us have been impacted by. And I appreciate it so much. So that's the first part of social
And
media
that
that I
that
need to.
means a ton to me, because this is what I tell my clients to do. So I better be practicing what I preach. And yeah, I mean, I thank social media for that, because it gave me a megaphone, if you will. Before social media, how do you get the word out? And I discovered a megaphone, and I'm thankful for that. But thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. And am I addicted? Yes, 100%.
So I'm not the only one.
I can, you can imagine, it has become part of our lives. I feel, again, disconnected from the world, disconnected, and like you're saying, personally and professionally, both ways. And I'll share with you, personally has given me the opportunity to what I call cross borders. I have friends all over the world, right? And social
Yeah.
media has allowed me to be connected with everyone. Again, I know we're going to be talking about the pandemic throughout, but one of the things is that we haven't been able, to get together in person so much.
Mm.
Social media has allowed us to continue with those connections, and really put us in a way that we can share, what's happening in our lives. So personally, completely addicted. I love it. I use, different ways, different channels, trying to keep up and learning the different things that are happening within each one. It's, I think, the biggest, job of a marketer. We always have to know the latest, on their changes or whatever it's happening. And professionally, again, in every single strategy that I'm going to, help a client with their digital transformation, it's going to be the first step is how to create a social marketing, social media marketing strategy within their marketing plan. Why? Because that's where consumers are going to go. That's where they are. In, again, going back to the life cycle, the buying life cycle starts online in the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
The first aspect that, when we reach online and we open up our internet, is going to be social media channels. So I absolutely believe that, and like you said, we're going to get into this topic, that you have a passion and I have a passion, and any marketer understands the power that social media has in, sending the message of your voice and allowing your consumers for a home of your brand, where they can also be present as well.
Yeah, I tell clients, and I did a video about this a long time ago, inspired by of all rock bands, U2, and asked me what the connection to social media is. U2. I thought of, I think I was reading an article, they call them satellite stages, that you go see U2 in concert, and other bands do this. They have satellite stages. The main stage is, the main stage, but they pop up throughout the venue on smaller stages. Maybe Bono does, or the Edge, or both of them, or the drummer. But is there four of them in U2? I think this, the band, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think there's four of them, but what I was going to say, I didn't want to miss anybody. I think I named, and not by name, three of the four, but any one of them or combination of them could pop up on a satellite stage. Where am I going with this? Your main stage, the website. Your satellite stages is Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and hey, maybe even TikTok. And to me, that's how you reach everybody, and maybe in different ways too. Just like social media channels, you communicate a little differently to slightly different people. If you're at a concert, the band's on the main stage for everybody, and then they pop up, in the back for the people in the back. And hey, maybe you can come out on the catwalk or something for the people way up high in the balcony. So that's my analogy. U2 and main stage, satellite stage is getting closer to your audience, one way or another. Are there, going to segue quickly to a follow-up question on that, are there any brands, businesses, people you follow on social media, or we could open that up to anywhere in marketing, that you think are rock stars, if you will, to continue that metaphor?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I see for myself, in terms of social media, following, the primary brands, I love, connecting with the brands and see what they have, what content, if it's retailing, if it's, obviously the bigger brands. One of the things that I love to connect with, actually, is I see, in order to learn about social media, for example, and marketing, and what is the latest trends that are out there, I do connect. For example, I describe it as three different pillars, because I like to connect with the brand itself. Then I like to connect with, maybe publications, that, like social media experts, that
Yeah.
social media today, for example, right? Uh,
Yes.
Social media examiner. These brands
Yes.
that really are serious about delivering great content. They tells us, what is the latest happening there. And then my third pillar that I love to follow as well is professors from universities. And
Yeah.
you
Wow.
are a marketing professor, and this is where I want to bring such an incredible tool that, for me, it's the biggest resource of learning as a professional, as a marketing professional, the latest trends, the latest best practices in innovation in marketing is coming from professors that are working with students that are seeing the latest trends, they're researching, they are working with companies, advising. And that is an area that I love to follow on social media as well, in which, you are, one of my true examples of following somebody that has really the latest innovation of what's happening out there in marketing. So that's my focus in terms of following, because yes, I follow the brands, but I also want to follow the best practices in what's happening out there in marketing.
Yeah, and you're pointing out the authorities, like a Social Media Examiner, Social Media Today, ClickZ, some of the other marketing, social media, online news outlets out there. But then you brought in, I didn't anticipate that this answer from you about professors in the academic world, and I totally agree with you. Now that I am teaching at the college level, you know, number one, we have to keep up. You know, I thought I had to keep up in the business world. You know, now I have to keep up with this Generation Z, and what digital natives and everything that they're growing up with and learning that might not even be in textbooks yet. And so it really keeps me fresh and forces me to stay fresh. So I think a combination for me, I love it's working in the business world as well as in academia. Good. I mean, awesome answer. I mean, following professors on social media, Helen. Um, so we're getting close to winding down, Helen. I have a few more questions for you. I wanted to ask what. So I think we looked back a little bit, maybe not a lot, but when I asked what you like best about marketing and not so much, and we talked about the pandemic, that certainly was looking back. Hopefully that'll be completely in our rearview mirror soon. But I want to look ahead, and I'm curious. It's not an easy question, I don't think, for any of us in marketing, but any thoughts on, and maybe it ties into changes we've covered already, but what do you think's the future for marketing and social media and related fields? What do you think it has in store for us? Where do you think you and I and our brethren will be in 5 or 10 years, our peers in the industry?
Absolutely, and thank you, for asking this. I think this is crucial because, like I shared with you, Bob, since I started my career, it has always been how to implement technological changes, the digital changes, how you always look ahead. So you can be strategizing, you can have a vision of what's going to come, how you're going to be able to be close to your, consumers. And where I foresee, happening here is one of the things is in terms of content. I think we all need to be aware that content continues, to be king, like they say, right?
Yeah.
What is in which form, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
have the writing aspect, we have one of them, which I think that's where the future is going, is with the video, right? Video, mini videos are an absolutely awesome way to connect with our consumers as we move forward in time, um, where you can actually feel somehow the brand, with
Mm.
video. There's the opportunity of hearing it, seeing the visual aspect, because obviously, the imaging aspect, it's unbelievable, the impact that it can have in terms of how we move forward. And the other aspect that I see as well happening for us is embracing diversity and inclusion
Yes.
as we move forward. I think that is an area that there's a lot of opportunity for growth, a lot of opportunity to really connect everyone in a collaborative way, which it's going to be awesome. I mean, I feel it is awesome today, but there's a lot that can be happening moving forward as well. So I see a lot of change in there as well as respect. Um, Meaning, in the past, if a brand was targeting just, one specific audience, I think the diversification, opening it up to all
Yes.
the audiences, it's going to be something that we're going to see a huge change as well. And again, a lot of partnerships. I was thinking, Bob, about that because, you know over time, I mean, there's a lot of people offering maybe, similar services, for example, and then
Mm-hmm.
he's saying, as the life cycle, like any industry life cycle, it naturally happens, is that it's going to be partnering, of different, resources. So we are still going to be, I think in the future, seeing that collaboration, working together, kind of one company of, let's say, a software in marketing does one aspect, then another one can do something else and they partner together. So I see that that might be something that we are going to see in the martech industry. There's going to be a lot of partnership orientation happening. And I think, yeah, those are the primary things that I'm seeing, happening as we
No,
move.
I totally agree with you on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, um, opportunities for businesses and brands, and the right thing to do, be more an accurate reflection of our world. In the partnerships and collaborations, yes, I think we're seeing more of that now, and that will continue. I totally agree. And technology, of course, is going to probably, it's anybody's guess what's on the horizon, but it's changing quickly. And I think because of the pandemic, we've all seen that, we can do things more online, and that means more working from home, and just different ways of communicating with our audience, chatbots and AI and what have you, AR, you name it. Um,
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bob, but I think with in terms of this AI, right? For example, in all of these, you know, technological digitalization that it's going to be happening, and all these new ways of, software that we can use to make things better and easier and quicker to reach to our customers, with marketing. I think we cannot forget about the personalization, authenticity, the real aspect of human side of
yeah.
things. That's one that, the digitalization, the technology is growing tremendously. And I think with this pandemic, what it brought us to know is that, yes, you can utilize them, but don't forget ever to have that human touch to the brand, right?
That's going to be a conundrum probably for a lot of businesses and brands, because as you were saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, the human touch is the individual bringing out my food from the restaurant to my car. But with technology, that could be a robot in the future. So is that still, do you know what I mean? So I think businesses are going to have to, I joke, but literally make decisions, we can automate this and or robotize, if that's a word, this, or and still have it as effective as a human being doing it, or do we maintain that as a human being's job?
Yeah, I guess it's going to be the blending, right? Of
There you
how
go.
how do you differentiate your brand if everything is in a technical way, a technological digital way? How can you be different, in terms of differentiating yourself as a brand from another one, right?
Yeah, it is the blend, and it's technology and robotics and what have you doing that which human beings maybe, or not doing the things that human beings would be better served doing, and therefore, freeing up their time maybe to do those things, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we are really in a great stage as of right now, with all these market and opportunities for so many different softwares that are there in terms of marketing for, because a marketer has a huge job in terms of how much time it takes them to accomplish all the different aspects that we were discussing priorly. If it's a website, if it's the graphics, if it's the social media, if it's the analytics, and how can we utilize those tools to make it more efficient? I think it's going to be one of the key aspects of a successful marketer.
I tell my students, Helen, that the 37 or so, 38, I'm trying to think how many years, it's 1983, believe it or not, I've been in marketing right out of grad school, that this is the most exciting time in my career because of technology, because of all the change. I look back and, geez, it seems it's like it must have been so boring back in the day for me and others compared to now, because like I said earlier, there's never a dull moment now with all this technology and the world changing and growing. And it's fascinating time, I think, to be alive, period. But working in marketing specifically, because that's what we're talking about today, it's always something new and different.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is something that is a constant evolution, right? And it's getting, the change is becoming, quicker and quicker. And
Yeah, yeah,
where our goal is to be always, and this brings us back to that question of you have to be on top of the best practices at
yeah.
all time.
Critical.
It is critical as a marketer.
Lifelong learning. again, going back to my early days, I was just a writer. I was just a copywriter. And I don't mean that as in diminishing, belittling what the importance of what I did. By no means. Most people, I think, back in the day did one thing. Now we do like 25 different things as marketers, certainly. You know, we wear a multitude of hats. Hey, let's end with, I brought up college students and Gen Z a few times. On you, it's on you to give your advice. They hear my advice all the time in the classroom, but again, I'm interviewing you, so I don't want to answer this question. I want you to, and that is, what advice would you give to the younger generation, anyone entering marketing, this field that we both agree is not easy but exciting? What advice would you give to the younger generation if they want to go into a career in marketing?
Yes, absolutely, Bob. Thank you. And I think I love this question because I believe truly in, education and learning, and college students, that they're the future of our generation in any industry that they will be going in, especially if we're talking about marketing. I'm going to reference back for a second, my participation in AMA, the American Marketing Association here in Boston, that we have this great program, unbelievable, about a mentorship program for college students. And that's what it's going to drive my answer, saying, I believe that the best answer that I can, say here and tell advice to a college student in marketing is to really get involved and have someone that they can partner with so they can learn, right? So there's a two-way here. One, it's be part of organizations like AMA, where you can really network and connect with other marketers in other, different expertise that they have, and learn from each other. So that's one. And the second one is try to partner with somebody that can be like a role model, right, of what they're doing, and be able to learn from them. I think would be a great advice as well.
No, that's perfect. I'm glad you brought up AMA Boston again, because that's what brought us together two and a half, 3 years ago. It's an organization we both believe in strongly, amaboston.org. And Megan McGrath is the current president. I was the president before her for 2 years. And you're on the board now in programming, correct, Helen?
Yes.
And you do a ton for the chapter, and as your colleague on the board, we both work hard, but we have a lot of fun, and we both strongly recommend it to anybody who wants to, especially younger people who want to break into the industry, want to learn. But people who, like me, have been in this business forever, you have to be a lifelong learner to stay relevant in marketing. So join AMA Boston. And that's amaboston.org, a plug for our chapter. Yes.
Yes, absolutely, Bob. I mean, it is an amazing place that we collaborate. We have such a great team, and I think that it's transmitted with the programming that we provide
Mm-hmm.
community, and that's one of the things that I love. We are here to connect the community of marketers, and everyone can feel at home. Reaching out and being part of to learn. This is a hub where it's unbelievable, the connection with
Mm-hmm.
colleagues in the industry, right? And as we spoke before, marketing entices so many different aspects, right? And you can meet different people doing different expertises and learn from each other, as well as attend our wonderful programming that we have, which has been unbelievably now the opportunity of doing it virtually as well. So we have expanded our borders. We have
Mm-hmm.
different cities, states, even countries.
Yeah,
That's unbelievable.
I agree. Another silver lining, because of Zoom. Yeah, it's not, I'd rather be in person, but the upside of doing it by Zoom is you can, as you say, expand our borders. People from anywhere virtually can tune in, and hey, we can tune into their events as well, other AMA chapters
Absolutely.
throughout the country. Helen, thank you so much for your time. It's been an awesome conversation, as I knew it was going to be. And I hope all our listeners and viewers agree. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they will. I want to just end by you making sure that people can reach out to you if you want to plug your own personal brand, if you will, if you're on social media or on LinkedIn or what have you. How can people reach you if they have questions or, want to hire you as a consultant?
Yes, thank you, Bob. Absolutely. I think, again, we are passionate about social media. As a professional, anyone can reach me via LinkedIn. I connect with everyone. I think this is a wonderful platform for building connections in a professional manner. So that will be the best way to get reached.
On LinkedIn, yep, under your name. And
It
for
just,
those of you who want to see Helen's name, it's right there. Helen Pinchanski,
Bob, you say it perfectly, but
Pinchanski.
yes,
What's that?
you know how to say it perfectly. So then that's
Pinchanski, and I spelled it out for
right.
everybody right there.
They can
You're,
just
you're
search.
in lights. Your name is in lights, Helen.
Yes. Well, like I said, they just search Helen Pinchanski, and I think probably there's only one with that last name. So right away they can connect for sure.
There's only one Helen Pinchanski, and her name is in lights, and she's been my guest for the last, I don't know, an hour or so. And it's been a great hour or so, Helen. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, episode 122, if you can believe it. So thanks, Helen. Thanks, listeners and viewers, for your time today, episode 122 with Helen Pinchanski. Helen, one more time, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here as part of your podcast.
It's been an honor to have you as my guest. I really appreciate your time. And for all you listeners and viewers, this is Bob Cargill tuning out for today. And this has been Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. And I will talk to you all, see you all again soon.